Well, guys, something weird is happening with my mindset right now. It's the past couple of weeks have been kind of weird where I started to realize that there is a lot of money out there to be made that most people don't realize exists out there. And it's there for the taking too, which is kind of the crazy part. And everyone thinks there's like this whole scarcity that, making money is super fucking hard and, there's only so much of it to go around, but there's actually a lot of it to go around. I'm going to start with a story here, kind of about scarcity and when I realized how abundant money is today and why, because of this realization, I'm never going to be a slave towards money again, because you're only a slave towards money if you believe that money is scarce. The moment you break free from that belief and you realize that money is so abundant out there, that there's so much of it out there and it's not that difficult to make, you're going to never be a slave towards money again, and you'll actually feel financially free for once in your life. So my date texted me the other day, and she sends me a few options for like a nice dinner steakhouse place. And I'm looking at the first option, and I'm looking at the menu. She's like, "Oh, like check out the menu." I'm like, "Okay, sure." And it's like some crazy prices that I've just never seen before. It was like $340 for an 8-ounce steak. What the fuck? One of them was like almost $1,000. It was $960 for like some tomahawk steak or something for 16 ounces, which I guess would feed two people. But $1,000 for one meal for two people for like one piece of steak, that was outrageous to say the least. So anyways, I'm looking through this menu and I'm like, holy shit, this is so fucking expensive. Right? Immediately I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not paying this fucking money. And I told her like, yeah, like I'm not doing this. Like, let's go find like a cheaper place, right? But then for some reason, I started thinking, it was kind of, I don't know where this realization came from, but I started thinking, okay, sure, it's $340 for a fucking steak. But I mean, if I look at my bank account, I have thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars sitting there. Like, even if I spent $1,000 for this meal, like, why should that stop me? Like, if I have so much money in my bank account. So already I started to see like, oh, I almost feel like I'm enslaved by this money. Even though I have it and I have it there to spend it, it's like, I just felt like trapped. Like I was like, oh, like, am I really going to spend that? Like I can't. Like mentally, I just couldn't bring myself to pay for that type of steak. So then I started thinking a bit more, and I started realizing how much of a hold that money had on me. It's like I was working so hard for money and I have all this money saved up, but for me to even spend a bit of it, it was like a complete hold. And I started thinking, okay, well, where is this hold, this grip that money has on choosing how I get to spend it and what I spend it on? Where is that coming from? And I realized it's coming from the fact that I'm a slave to money. And the reason why I'm a slave to money is because I thought that money was scarce. I thought that, okay, well, I have this finite number of money in my bank account right now. It will continue to go up as I keep saving and all that. But I just thought it would go up in such a marginal way that I couldn't afford to simply spend this much money on a steak dinner. And it was a scarcity mindset that there wasn't enough out there for me to go out and spend this big amount of money on just one meal, right? Just once, a big meal, right? And that's when it hit me. I can't be a slave to money, right? I cannot let money decide to this extent where I'm going to eat for dinner, where I'm going to go out with my friends, how I'm going to spend my time, right? Like, sure, you could take this to an extreme. I'm not going to eat there every single night. But for this one occasion, a special night, why can't I go out for this dinner? And that's when I realized I had to stop being a bitch and I had to stop being a slave to money. And I said, fuck it. I said, I changed my mind. I take it back what I said. Let's go to this fucking dinner tonight. Let's get dressed to the nines, and let's go into this fucking dinner. And I ended up spending half a rack, or just over $500 at this dinner. It was one of the best dining experiences, probably the best dining experience I've ever had in my entire life. Actually, the first thing I noticed was we sat down, we were chewing gum, and immediately the waiter comes to our table and offers us like 2 napkins on the plate and says, "Here, this is for your gum for when you want to spit it out." And it was such a small gesture, but I was like, oh, like how they picked up on such a small thing that I've never been to a restaurant where they have done that for me. And this waiter picked up that we're chewing gum, and they knew that obviously at some point we were going to spit it out to obviously eat. And so they took the proactive action to actually give us that plate with 2 napkins on it to spit out our gum for when the food comes. I was like, wow, this is like luxurious dining. It was a great experience. There was jazz music and all that. And the food was great. We got like A5 Wagyu all the way from Hyogo Prefecture in Japan. We had some other like, I don't know, like strip. I don't know what the words are for this fucking steak, but it was a good experience. And paying that $500 was like a moment where I was just like, fuck you, money. You don't own me. I own you. This is the money that I worked for, so I want to use it how I want to use it, right? Again, I'm not going to take this to an extreme and spend 40K in the next week, right? I'm just saying for this one special occasion, I was like, fuck you, money. You don't get to own me. I own you, right? I'm the one who gets to use you. I'm the one who gets to decide where I go to eat, what I get to do with my time. You don't get to decide that, right? And spending that amount of money was like, yeah, it's kind of weird, right? To spend $500 on a dinner for 2. It was just like one of those moments where I just felt really detached from money. It was like, okay, yeah, well, that's money. So what? So what? I just spent 500. So what? Right? Tell me something, right? So what? I was like, yeah. So that's money. So I detached myself from money by spending that large amount. It was also just a moment of realizing like, yeah, you know what? There is a lot of money out there to be made anyway. So it's like, it's not a big deal if I go and spend this. I'll tell you, the reason why I think money is so abundant now is just look around you. There are kids making 10K a month doing AI automation for B2B, right? Like, what the fuck? Like, these are kids. I'm talking about teenagers, these kids, and they're making 10K a month, right? At the gym the other day, I was working in with this guy bench pressing, and I was like, hey, man, like, we were talking for a bit about work, and I got the sense that, I mean, he was wearing a Rolex at the gym, right? So I just asked him out of the blue, like, hey, like, how much do you make a year? And he tells me he makes on the low end, 430K a year. On a good year, it's like 500K. He makes $500,000 a year. His boss makes $7.3 million a year. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here, right? These are guys, I don't even go to like an elite gym or anything. It's literally the most commercial Canadian gym you can think of. It's called Good Life Fitness. It's like one of the cheaper gyms out there. And here's this guy walking around making $500,000 a year. His boss makes $7 million a year. And I'm like, there's so much fucking money out there. There's so much money out there. There's no reason to think that there's a scarce amount of money out there. There's so much money out there. You just have to believe it. You'll attract it. It'll come to you. But you can't start making big money if you think that you're completely trapped, that there's only a finite amount of money, that there's a very little amount of it. You have to believe that it's out there for you to take it and to win it and to earn it. You know, I read this book a while ago by Robert Kiyosaki, the one you're thinking of, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He has this concept in there where he basically created a distinction between how rich people think and poor people think. That was his entire book, right? And one of his concepts was that poor people, when they see something like a Ferrari, for example, they immediately think, holy shit, I'm never going to afford that. I will not even tease myself with ever thinking about owning a Ferrari. I'm just never going to ever afford a Ferrari in my life. That's how poor people think. There's no ambition. It's completely detached from it. It's like, okay, fuck yeah, I'll just never have that in my life. And that's the end of it. And they tell themselves that, and that becomes their reality. Now, rich people, they look at that Ferrari and they're like, you know what, I'm making a good amount of money right now. I cannot afford that just yet. But my question to myself is, how can I get to a point where I can afford that car? That's the magic. That's the difference, where the poor people, they look at this car and they cut themselves short. They put a period. And that's the end of it. They never go and try to get the car. The rich people, they're like, fuck yeah. You know, maybe even if I can't afford the Ferrari right now, one day I will get that Ferrari. And I'm just starting to wonder, how am I going to get that Ferrari? How can I afford that? That's the difference. There's ambition behind that intention, behind that question. And that's what actually gets these people to go out and get it. So after I had that nice dinner, it was like, dude, like if I could dine like that every single night, where my waiters treat me like a king and treat my girl like a queen, I just feel like fucking royalty walking into this nice dinner and having completely fabulous food that tasted amazing. We're talking about A5 Wagyu from Hyogo Prefecture in fucking Japan that's being shipped over here. And it's on my fucking plate. If I could eat like that every single day, I mean, that would be kind of nice, right? So the question becomes, okay, it's not like, oh man, you know, I can't afford to eat like that for every single meal, every single day. The question that I ask myself is, what do I need to do to get to a point where I can afford that? Because I'll bet you that in that day when I was at that restaurant, there were people around me who frequent that restaurant, that for them, it's like the equivalent of me going to McDonald's. That's the norm for them. Not that I eat McDonald's often, but like that's the norm for them to go to that restaurant. They can afford it really easily because they're making a shit ton of money. But there were definitely some rich kind of looking people, and just the way that they talked and the way that they carried themselves, it was like, yeah, that fucking guy's rich. It wasn't even that anything necessarily that they were like wearing, but it was just something like you kind of sometimes get like a rich vibe from some people. So there's people out there that do go there frequently, and the question is, how do I get to that point to be able to afford that? Because I loved the idea. It was great to experience how a rich person might eat, right? Someone who could afford it on a daily basis. It was nice to have that experience. And now I keep asking myself, how do I get to a point? How do I make so much money where I can just eat there every single fucking day? Like, I don't have to worry about my bank account. I don't have to second guess myself. If a girl asks me like, hey, let's go to this restaurant, I'm like, fuck it. Yeah, I'll rack up the fucking bill. Let's spend like, I don't know, 2K at this restaurant, whatever. I mean, that would be a hefty bill, but you get the point, right? So the point is today that like a lot of people are still stuck in this mentality that money owns them. It's so weird. Like we work so hard for money. We go to our 9 to 5 job. We put in our 40, 50, maybe hours a week for our fucking paycheck. And then we let money decide how we want to live our life to such an extent. It's like, dude, like if you really want something, go and buy it. Feel what it's like to go and buy that luxurious, higher pricing point item that it is that you're craving. And then just find a way so that you can go and afford that every single day. And then just keep leveling up, right? Like most people don't think that way. They just think, oh, like, I'm never going to go to that restaurant because it's fucking $500 for 2 people. I will never spend that type of money in my life. And because of that, they stay poor because they don't want to take any risk. They don't want to use that as incentive to be better. But I'm telling you, indulge a bit. Don't go overboard. Indulge a bit in whatever it is that you want. Feel what it's like to have that luxurious life that you're craving, and then use that as motivation to go and make a shit ton of money. This is what being a slave to money is. It's letting money decide to a very high degree what it is that you want, what it is that you're going to buy, how you're going to spend your time, maybe even who you hang out with. Don't fucking be a slave, okay? Just go make some big money. I know it sounds super fucking simple, but it's really just a mindset unlock. There's a shit ton of money out there, right? Again, we have kids making fucking 10K a month doing AI automation. There's something out there that you can do to make a shit ton of money. It's out there for you to take. Just take it. Just fucking take it, okay? Stop being a bitch. Stop being a slave to money. Peace.